Hey guys, my name is Simpzy. How you all doing? Welcome back to some more Rome Total War Remastered here today on the channel. We're back with episode 5 of my Scipii Roman Let's Play. Here today we're going to be dealing with the surprise attack from the Egyptians at the end of the last episode. So I've sent Quintus Scipio, nicknamed Spartacus, I've coined him for being the conqueror of Greece. He's heading eastward now to deal with the Egyptians, while Gaius is dealing with the Numidians and potentially could push into Spain to finish off the Carthaginians if we can. I've called him numerous for his numerous because of his conquests in Carthage. So if you like the sound of that, feel free to leave the video a like, subscribe if you're new around here with notifications on, let me know in the comments feedback and suggestions for the series and where you'd like me to expand and conquer. I've got to say a huge thank you to the Creative Assembly for sending me a freely access code of Rome Remaster and making this Let's Play possible. So a huge thank you to them and their community team, and a thanks to Feral Interactive as well. So in the last episode I didn't talk about history overly too much. I wanted to focus purely on the gameplay, but here today I want to talk about the Gracky Brothers. So previously we've talked a little about Scipio Africanus, we've talked about the Second Punic War, we've also talked about Rome's Macedonian War and various Hellenic wars with the Seleucids and Sparta and Athens and whatnot. So I feel like we're getting to a good period in our campaign to talk about the Gracky Brothers. So who were the Gracky Brothers? Well, I want to bring up their family tree because it's actually quite fascinating and is a little bit overskipped sometimes. So Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus, their mother was Cornelia Africana, and if that sounds familiar, the Africana last name, that is because she is the daughter of Scipio Africanus. Now, her marriage to Tiberius was arranged. I think there was a fair few years between them. She was married in her teenage years while he was in his 40s, but they actually had supposedly quite a loving relationship, although being arranged. She was sort of seen as the archetypal sort of Roman woman and wife, as it were. A lot of people looked up to her in that department. The son of a conqueror, Africanus, a consul, and then the husband of a really notable senator, being Tiberius. There's even like depictions of her being like the Virgin Mary and stuff, so it's quite interesting. So they did have a sibling, Tiberius and Gaius, and she married Sempronia, married Aemilianus Scipio, who is the grandson of Africanus, being adopted because his son Cornelius, Publius Cornelius Scipio, his father being Africanus, was an adopted son. So that's another connection there, because Aemilianus is a pretty powerful figure in this time period as well. So what's going on with the Roman Republic at this time period? It kind of looks similar to us on the campaign map. They would have had probably more territory in Iberia, but Italy, the coasts of North Africa, Greece, and the coasts of Iberia would have been under their control. And what was happening is what we're trying to do in this campaign. They were constantly bringing slaves back from these newly conquered territories to Rome. In our instance, we want to bring them back to Capua so we can rush Marian reforms, and we'll get on to Marius and Sulla maybe in the next episode. So basically what Tiberius Gracchus wanted to do, he wanted to upgrade Rome's agrarian land reforms to support the urban poor who are wandering the streets with their wives and children, and most of the men, because they've accumulated debt while fighting on campaign and lost their lands to the elite, which repossessed them. So the agrarian law basically wanted to limit the amount of acres one can own, because there were these huge estates that rocked up that were owned by very few wealthy nobles and were mostly worked by free slave labor. So what Tiberius wanted to do, he wanted to shift the land wealth away from the senators, wealthy nobles, and such, and change it to the poor. So if you tell the very few wealthy elite that we're going to take some of your money, there's only a couple of things that's going to happen. So it actually triggered a factional split in Rome between optimates like Scipio Aemilianus wanted to increase the rule of the Senate and limit the influence of the tribune of the plebs in the plebeian assembly, while the populares, for example Tiberius Gracchus, wanted the opposite. So a lot of the men that weren't a part of the Senate who went out and fought in the wars and the conquering of Greece, Spain and North Africa, they were only able to join the army if they could afford their own equipment, so they had a little bit amount of wealth, but then they went on to years fighting on campaign. By the time they came back, they had massive debts, and the wealthy senators made these huge estates. They also didn't get much work because of all the slaves coming back. It changed the economic crisis. Like, why would you pay an ethnic Roman when you can till the fields for free with the slave? So then that created sort of hordes of homeless people in the city of Rome. And Tiberius, honourable, wanted to try and change that. So you can go and research the ins and outs of, like, Tiberius blocking certain motions while the Senate does the same. There was also a plan to use King Atlas's inheritance, which is from Pergamon, back and forth. But essentially what happened to Tiberius Gracchus is that he was murdered by Scipio Nisca and senators wielding blunt objects. This is the first occurrence of public violence, so it gives a precedent of senators being murdered in Rome. So where does this leave Rome? Well, the state is fractured and there is disunion in political discourse, and this produced chaos on the Italian mainland, which was taken advantage of in the upcoming social wars and slave revolt. And we'll talk about Sulla, Marius, Pompey Magnus, and maybe even the young Julius Caesar and Crassus in the next episode. Okay, let's focus on the gameplay now. So if you haven't been paying attention to what I've been doing, basically just been moving my military forces to continue our campaigns. It takes so long to sort of move around the ancient world. So I do have Flavius Scipio here with a small army in Tingis. This army can look to go over to Iberia. We have managed to defeat the Numidians. The thing is, we sort of beat them in the last couple of episodes. We focused a lot on them, so we're able to auto-resolve out their last settlement. We are sieging the the Egyptian city of Thebes, so we'll play that one here today. If it looks good. Slowly ferrying more units over. Lilybaeum, Sicily is my major base of operations. We've got a bigger barracks coming. We've hit 20,000 in our population, but we still can't go for Marian reforms just yet. We need to get to 24,000 to get the Imperial Palace going. I think it was 20,000 previously. I think they might have upped it slightly. Okay, so the Egyptians have moved up an army to Siwa. I do have two armies off the coast here now, with the Greek city-states destroyed. But as you can see here, the Egyptians have a huge empire as they defeated the Seleucids in this campaign. So they even have the Hanging Gardens. The Brutii seem to be pushing north against the Germans. And Britannia, I wouldn't have expected this, have actually taken Gaul fully under their control. And Gaul is sort of pushed into Iberia. So the Julii are now fighting the Britons. Alright, let's have a battle here today. Let's fight our first battle against the Egyptians. Now, 3 chariots, nothing crazy too inside, but in those narrow corridors we could have a problem. But let's fight this one here. 1 unit of Cretan archers, 2 units of Vilites, and then some mercenary skirmishers, the rest made up of Principes and Hastati.
Those men are the servants of Pharaoh. They think themselves our equals, but I think they are dead meat. And draw strength from this fact. The enemy are so loathed that no ally can be found to support them. They cower behind their walls and pray for help. We outnumber them by a large margin, but this may drive them to foolhardy defiance. Be careful. The enemy will try to conserve their strength by firing at us. We must close and fight them hand to hand, like true men. These people have yet to taste victory at my expense. Today will be no different, so lay into them with a will. Some of us will soon lie dead. The rest will drink to their memory. But, as always, we Romans will fight with honor!
Although how cool this winter storm looks within Egypt, I want to have a nice sunny day when taking the city of Thebes. So let's start the deployment. But it is snowing in winter. I guess it snows potentially sometimes this far south. So I've gone and opted with 2 siege towers just so that they can last a little bit longer than a battering ram. Ladders wise would probably take on a lot of damage. Now I have constructed a sapper to get in just in case we get some terrible RNG and the siege towers engulf in flames. Sieges always are a bit of a risk in Total Wars, but if I had to rank them, I think Rome generally has some of the worst sieges out of all the Total Wars, just due to the pathfinding and whatnot. I prefer like Medieval 2 sieges a lot more. I do really like Rome's open field battles though. I'm talking about the original Rome, by the way, which I've had more experience on than this remaster. So I haven't used a sapper in so long. I can't remember. Does the unit die when it goes under digging? Does it collapse on itself, or is it fine? Anyway, we use a mercenary unit. They should do the digging. I couldn't remember if there was a chance of a unit getting destroyed. I can't remember. Anyway, we'll get them to dig under, and that will be a good way for us to get in. Someone suggested in the Macedonian campaign, which we will get back to at some point, maybe if you're sieging with hoplites, I tend to use those sapping points. Although I do have to wait a couple turns to repair, he said. It's actually a safer way to get in with pikes, which is not a bad idea. I kind of like the sound of it. But let's have a look at Quintus Scipio, conqueror of Greece, now dealing with the Egyptians. I was kind of wanting to go more westward, I guess, and maybe into Asia Minor, but the Egyptians negotiations fell through, and then they surprise attacked us. So here is the city of Thebes. We've got some hieroglyphs there, a various temple to a Egyptian god. Bronze Age Egypt attacks. So for the remaster and the vanilla campaign settings of the Rome remaster, Egypt is a Bronze Age faction for both. But I'm sure that modders will eventually add in a realistic Egypt for those inclined, which I kind of like. I have done a Rome 2 Cleopatra campaign with it being more realistic, because you think of Cleopatra as this Egyptian queen. She's actually more ethnically Macedonian than she is Egyptian. But even to this day, the ancient Egyptians, along with the Romans, don't really exist anymore. So chariots in these narrow streets are going to be quite hard to combat. We're going to try and have to skirmish them out where we can and take our time. Chariots are so powerful. I think that's like all Total Wars, particularly in Rome Total War. Rome 2, even as recent as Troy. They're being really strong and potent. But our skirmishers are moving down into the sapping point, and hopefully can dig under and break their way through the Egyptian wall. I think we're close enough to the wall now to say that we're safe. I don't think those siege towers are going to engulf in flames, so we should be able to push up and take the walls easily. Once we gain access to the gateway, we're going to be able to swarm our Roman troops in. So I don't think that war with the Macedonians that we had planned is going to be advantageous. Larissa, Thessalonica are good cities, but they're not really like they haven't got wonders, so it's not completely necessary that we have to take them. We can move our armies down against the Egyptians, which is going to be a bigger fight. So we'll hold southern Greece. The Macedonians can hold North and Macedonia, and the Brutii can hold the coast, unless the Brutii attack them. Who knows? My Cretan archers are putting a little bit of pressure on here, which is good. They even seem to be clipping them. Yeah, the walls actually aren't even protecting those units that much. They're arcing their shots quite well, the Cretans. So we're going to be focusing 3 full stacks on this invasion of Egypt. But this is a very well funded and strong Egypt, because they not only have the traditional holdings, they've swallowed up the Seleucid Empire. It was always a meme that they got taken out, but I'm kind of surprised. They were a puppet client kingdom as well before they got completely destroyed. So they must even have territory and sort of like maybe southern southern Anatolia is a good example. Essentially where the Seleucids were, because Pergamon has kicked out the Greeks there as well. Last thing I want is a war with Pergamon, to be honest. But yeah, we've still got westward to deal with the Carthaginians that we're still at war with. Who would have thought that the Seleucids and Numidians would be out before the Carthaginians? It's just because they've got those island territories and stuff. We're slowly chipping down the wall here, but to repair that is going to take a bit. As long as we don't get attacked quickly, once we've taken Thebes, we'll be fine. So our Roman Astarte have made their way up here. These Romans are veteran legionaries from, in the sense that they're technically an Astarte unit, but they are veterans because they've got a couple chevrons, and they're operating in a Roman legion. Yeah, but they've been fighting in Greece. I would guess some of them maybe. No, I don't think many of them would have fought in Carthage. Maybe in the initial attack, because I did send an army. These armies did come from Carthage as well, before they headed over to garrison Thermon, before we managed to take southern Greece. But there's been a couple of really cool change of events in this series so far. I'm blown away as to Britain taking all of Gaul, or the Gauls have fled to Iberia. It's actually kind of crazy. You'd think the Britons and the Gauls would sort of ally up a bit. So we've got our skirmishers here. We're going to try and hit their chariots as we move in. Just reform. We don't want to go too far in. We might actually be able to take a couple of them out, because they're probably not going to push through the breach there. More Hastati are swarming onto the wall, and we're doing quite well. It's not the most crazy garrison, but it's a good real bit of a taste and a tease of what the Egyptians have to offer, because they do have a lot of good units, mostly chariots, archers, and they've got some decent phalanx units, which can be a little bit tricky, particularly in a siege. So we're swarming in here now. But will Quintus's legacy be decided of the conquest, or I guess potentially the defeat in Egypt? Right, the enemy walls have now been captured. I want to continue to run down and put some pressure more so on those chariots. Okay, move this way, please. Nearly have beaten the entire unit here on the walls. Those Cretan archers can now stop, because they're probably going to inflict more friendly fire than anything. Okay, so let's move them down now that we've taken the walls. How well is everyone doing here? We've nearly basically destroyed that chariot unit. Just hitting us a little bit there. Okay, let's make our way into the town square. Now you got to be careful pushing into the town square because they are, when a unit's planted in there, they are unbreakable and they will fight to the death. So we do have to be careful. That's why flanking and surrounding is so important. So we'll try and form up like this and try and hold these corridors here. A lot of these Hastati do have a lot of pillar, so they're going to be fine. But I want to be doing more videos when I can over the next coming weeks and months on the channel, so stay tuned for Rome Remastered content and what other videos you would like to see. But yeah, my apologies that we're sort of drip feeding content slowly, but I do have to abide by rules and embargoes. I know it's annoying, believe me, but once it's all over, I'll be able to upload as much content as I can. But I completely understand, I get it. But for you guys, you just want more content because you guys are loving it. It's doing really well on YouTube, and I appreciate all the support. But yeah, when I can play on Barbarian Invasion, I will. I'll also be able to show you certain stuff. I haven't been able to show the campaign intros as well. That's led to a little bit of confusion. Like, oh, did they just completely get rid of campaign intros? No, they didn't. They do have them, but they hadn't finished some of them. But people forget as well that they work on the game like right up, and this is just not just the Creative Assembly. This is just, or Feral technically, but Creative Assembly games, Feral in this instance. But a lot of game companies work like they work crunch. They work up to the last day, just trying to squeeze everything in, so they don't have to do. They can have their time off and sort of get it done before the first sort of patch comes along. So there's been heaps of updates since I've recorded my first video that has come out. The family tree has now been added, along with some various stuff as well. So when I say and other people say this is early access, please do take into consideration that it's subject to change. A lot of stuff is, because they add a lot more stuff. These chariots here rip it into me. As long as we can sort of hold back a bit, we can outbeat them with my peeler. So, just need to hold the line, skirmish as best we can. Oh, we've managed to get rid of the enemy general. He's dead. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Right in front of the god's temple. Now, some people have been asking for me to do reviews, for example, on the Rome Remaster and like other games as well. Personally, I don't like doing review content. First of all, it takes ages. It takes, like, if you want to do a decent, genuine review, it can take you a couple weeks. And I feel like you have to be really objective. You have to think of the for and against and how you just sort of present it and stuff. And I just don't enjoy it. So that's why I'm not going to do it. So I think the sort of the best way, sort of my review is like my Let's Plays. Like, if I'm still playing the game months, years after, and I'm still playing it and enjoying it, I like the game. Like, it's subjective. Like, I'm going to be playing more of this Rome Remastered over the next coming weeks and months. And games that I'm not having fun with, yeah, I might do a one campaign because I just love all Total War generally, but if I'm coming back to it months after, I like it. So yeah, and I also just feel like as well, just like it's so, games are so objective anyway. Like, it's very much like a formula for real life. Like, even if you're like the perfect human, you can't go through life everyone like you. People just don't like you. It's just how it is. People won't like your review or like your opinion on something. So especially now in Australia, when we've got such strong consumer laws. I don't know if this is in any part of the country, but other countries. But I know for Australians, for games, you're allowed to play for 1 to 2 hours, and if you don't like the game, you can fully refund it. So it is a little bit hard with strategy and like 4X games when you need like sometimes 12, 15 hours. You need to get like halfway through a campaign and go, ugh, I don't know if this was enjoyable or that in just various other games. But I think you still can get a pretty decent general consensus of if you like it or not. So I don't know if I should be recommending this, but I will. If you're an Australian, read up on consumer law, and on Steam, you can get a refund for any game you want. You just have to read through and declare stuff properly as well to request a refund. I think it does lock your Steam inventory for a month, but that's the only thing. That's a bit of a consequence of it. So if you're like a CSGO seller, or you sell like knives and stuff, it can lock that sort of stuff. Or if you've got like, if you like trade heavily in Rust skins and stuff, that is something to consider, because it does lock it for 28 days, 30 days. But yeah, just Google Australian consumer law. If you live in Australia, you can basically get 2 hours of a test run of Steam games. So I do recommend it. Okay, let's deal with the Egyptians. We'll give you 2008 with the Brutii, except no, I can't go to war with Macedon. We're still dealing with the Carthaginians and Egyptians. I just left. You can go deal with them. Oh, in which they are. They're actually attacking Thessalonica. Whoa. It's a pretty big army attacking us in Siwa. So, Oppius Scipio, 3-star command. Oh, so he's the ethnic son of Quintus. And he does have another son, Publius, who hasn't got anywhere near the command. Okay, so Ullius Scipio and Publius are landing. So Quintus's firstborn son. So the line of Quintus is hopefully going to be the conquerors of Egypt. Okay, we've got our navy down here now. So he probably can send it over to block the port of Alexandria. Hopefully the settlement doesn't get taken within this turn, because we've got decent reinforcements on the way and coming. Some games have been held. All that stuff's fine. Okay. We've sent poor old Vibius here to be the general grunt to go around and construct watchtowers. We'll send Flavius, although he doesn't have the command. I should be able to take the Carthaginian settlement to the north. So we've disembarked, and I'll send a cavalry in at north. What? Oh, wait, what? The Gauls have Cordoba and Carthago Nova. Righto. Carthago, isn't it Nova Carthago? I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was New Carthage, not Carthage New. Anyway. Oh, well, I guess the Carthaginians only have one territory. Thebes is fine for now. Yeah, so let's end the turn and continue. What do Macedon want? I'm not going to give you any money. You're getting attacked by the Brutii. You are allied with Dacia, but you're even at war with the Germanians. We do have trade with the Macedonians, but I do not want to war with them. I want to focus all of my eastern power on the Egyptians, because we're certainly going to need it. Okay, wow, they've moved up another army. They've moved up a couple armies here, actually. So they're still besieging me, which is good. We are now the strongest faction. And they want me to block the port of Larissa, which I'm not going to do. So I'm going to move Publius up, and I'm going to move Ullius Scipio up, who is the brother of Quintus. Okay. We could maybe get Hastati going. We've got a little bit of money now. I did have Sicily as my major recruitment powerhouse, but maybe it's time to do the same in Greece. Because we've got Nero and Sextus here. Just in case the Macedonians attack. I don't fear them if there is a fight, because I feel like we've got enough southern Greek cities to defend on in. Okay, we want to try and get more watchtowers up down here, because I just like seeing it. I know it's not the most cost-effective thing, but I do like to kind of roleplay and paint the map with Roman watchtowers, so we can see on through. We will need to move Gaius down here. I guess he can head to Spain. So, yeah, what should I do with these guys? I kind of feel like we've got enough men at the moment, and the war's just basically kicking off and starting against the Egyptians. If they brought maybe 6, 3 more, like double what they've brought in this initial attack around Egypt, I would be worried. But I think Gaius and Flavius here should have enough to go into Iberia, which is held by the Gauls. I didn't think we'd be fighting the Gauls. They actually have Susa as well. And that's what their faction leader is. I guess that's why they attacked me. Was there a unit blocking me there? Okay. Yeah, they are such a powerful faction in this campaign. It's quite crazy how strong the Egyptians are. Okay. So, Flavius is going to deal with the last of the Carthaginians here. They're still sieging me out. They haven't got any decent commanders. It's mostly captains. So, there's only peasants inside. I'm surprised they didn't attack it, to be honest. Anyway, we'll move my army up. I just want to be in line of sight. Getting shot there. There we go. That's better. Good. So if they attack that, we're going to be able to get those peasants in to help us. Block the port of Larissa. Yeah, no, I'm not going to war with them. Well, it looks like the Brutii are pushing over here anyway. Aemilius Brutus. Yeah, Thessalonica has fallen to the Brutii. I would have liked that settlement because Thessalonica's good, but maybe we can try and take Larissa. I don't know. We'll see. Parthia, Armenia have a ceasefire. They're still sieging me out here, which is surprising. Oh, it's because they've brought up more men as well. Quintus is now Pontiff Maximus. Gaius has received the office of Aedile. Okay. Oh no, he lost his office of Aedile, and he now has Praetor. Vibius Brutus. Gaius Victor. It's because he managed to knock out a faction, being Numidia, and I guess Quintus is Victor as well. They would have received a fair few triumphs. I don't think they have triumphs in this game. Anyway, we've got to deal with Thebes, because we've got an army in here which we are retraining, but getting the religious conversion and stuff going on. We could maybe strike Larissa, because it's actually quite unoccupied. And we do have a couple generals here with Nero and Sextus. And the Brutii are probably going to finish off the Macedonians, so maybe we go against them. So I just want to see how much I can rally here. Like, how many Hastati can we get from our Greek holdings? Is that enough? Oh, that's plenty. 15's plenty. Yeah, maybe let's declare war against the Macedonians finally for this series. Just need to change the public order slightly. There we go. Move them in and around. So Sextus can go north to Larissa. Nero and Sextus. So basically this is what we're doing. Rallying up in our various zones of recruitment. Capua still needs 4 more thousand pop before we can rush Marian reforms. Lucius Scipio is still hanging down here. Okay, can we push to Palma now? How big's the army? Manageable. With Flavius with no command. Okay, we'll try and block the port. But this might be the last of the Carthaginians here. I'm surprised they've lasted this long, to be honest. Alright, well, let's move Publius further up. Does he have the better army? More skirmishes, probably not. I think this army's better. 3 units of Principes, or 5, and then the mercenaries making up the difference. Alright, let's fight this one here today. Our first major field battle against the Egyptians. It's going to be a big one, because they do have some reinforcements. So they've got about 3,500, while we have about 7,000. So it's a 10,000 man battle here against the Egyptians. Awesome. Let's go.
This is a day of battle. While we stand together as Romans, we will not fear defeat. We will look forward to victory. There stands the army of the Egyptian pharaoh, worthy foes to a man. They stand alone. No friend has come to this place to die for them. Does this not say something about their honor? They're standing among nations. We are here to rescue the good folk of this settlement. Our numbers here are about equal. Therefore, a victory here will be hard fought, but glorious. All that said, we are the stronger. Every one of you is better than they. Remember this and take heart from the memory. These people have yet to taste victory at my expense. Today will be no different, so lay into them with a will. Take heart, for another army is close by and even now marches to our aid. Now then, look to your front. Mark your target when it comes!
Okay, let's get stuck into them. So, for this fight, I will be deploying the triple axis manifold system, just because it looks good. I still don't know if it's incredibly effective. I still think it's very hard to beat, essentially a straight flat line shield wall, but look, I like to roleplay a bit. What's all these crazy roads here? Looks like some council guy, ancient guy's like, I've discovered this new thing. We call it a roundabout. Why can't they just have a cross section? I guess it makes it safer. Do they, like, you're not going? We've had some Hunas. We've had some Egyptian race chariot drivers making all sorts of nonsense out here, so we decided to make a roundabout. But yeah, right, so I've skipped ahead here, just because it takes so long to put out the formation, and I want to try and get it right. So, there we go. You don't need to see me micro in there. We're going to try and hug this huge rock. But I still think, like, us getting off angles, side and rear with our Astarte is probably the play. So, their reinforcements are now moving in. But here are the Bronze Age Egyptians. This is going to be a good fight. So, we are attacking them at the end of the day. But with their numerical supremacy, they're probably going to charge. So checkerboard formation with Principes and Astarte at the front. Skirmishers at the rear. So they do have their Bronze Age axemen, which you have to watch out for. And then their Numidian hoplites, which are really quite good. Their cavalry, not so much. Okay, just double checking that those reinforcements aren't coming in. So our Cretan archers and slingers should be in range. They can't flank us too hard on this right-hand side, because they've got some natural terrain defending, which is good. Ullius Scipio here for his first real fight against the Egyptians. The Cretan archers getting their shots off. Is that new? I can't remember there being a firing arc that high in the original game, was there? The Egyptians now moving across their paved roads. They are looking to commit some of their forces a bit closer. They're falling back. They're going to push up with 3. You'd nearly just push with the whole lot, wouldn't you? You'd think. Now, Astarte fire at will, so they're going to be able to hit them. And they should be able to do alright with their peel of volley, because these Numidian spears hitting them on the sides now aren't very armoured. They do have a shield, so they do have some decent protective cover.
The enemy army is in flight. Pursue them and drive them from the battlefield.
Right, hang on. Are they retreating? This happened against the Greeks where they did that. Have they sent up 3 Numidians to their death while the rest flee? Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Did they not think they could break down the triple axis formation there? Well, I guess we'll give chase. What is this? It's called a checkers. It's got a checkerboard formation. What? We haven't seen anything like this. I don't know any ancient Egyptian games. Let's give chase. Well, that's annoying because I set all up there. A small little skirmish. Yeah, you forget that they can just, like, retreat even further back. Well, I guess we have to fight the Egyptians again in the next episode because we are getting close to an hour. We might be able to run some of them down there if we can expose them. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. We were fine. We were laughing even without our reinforcements. Yeah, we only lost 10 men. We managed to kill 400 or so of theirs. I guess potentially they tactically withdrew as well because they didn't have a general. The army was only commanded by captains. Oh wow, that's really pushed them back. Oh wow, how far have they been sent back? I guess... what? Have they been sent all the way back to... whoa, that other one. Okay. I don't know why they got so much movement there. Oh well, anyway. Maybe even Quintus can probably hit that. Because that's pushed more to Cairo. I think Publius might have to hit this army. Because I don't think... oh no, we're going to have movement there. We'll move with Quintus's brother. He is the senior of Publius here. He's 38 while he's a lot younger. But he's only 1-star command, so is it even worth getting him up? He's not a fantastic commander already. What's the point? So we'll auto-resolve this one just so we can catch them. And actually have a fight, because they just kept on running. And they've been sent back as well. I don't know. Maybe they have additional movement through the desert or something that I'm not picking up on. Right, well, we had a decent siege in Thebes. We had a long battle of build-up, but yeah, well, we've won after disembarking off the Egyptian coast. So we'll continue our conquests and trying to push into Cairo and take Alexandria, because we want to try and take those settlements because we want the pyramids and the Great Lighthouse and the Great Library, I guess. I think the lighthouse is the wonder, not the library. Vibius can push further south because I want to try and get all this territory lit up, because you want to try and see rebels arising. We'll assess the situation against the Macedonians, but we'll probably send an army to Larissa. We'll see how we go. Alright, back over to Egypt now. Mission failure. That's fine. Macedon and Thrace are now at war. I think it's safer to send Publius to Thebes. He might even be able to retrain a couple of units, because if we go after those armies, we don't know what's sort of lurking further back within the pyramids. Thrace and the Brutii are hitting Bylazora with a 3-pronged attack. That's so unfortunate. Well, look, I think we can probably take Larissa. I think we'd be giving it to the Brutii if we don't. We can get some skirmishes just to make the odds a bit easier, but I think we'll have our first war against Macedon. War between Macedon and the House of Scipio, or the Scipii, have now kicked off. So maybe just going like that, because we're probably going to auto-resolve it. There is not much of a threat inside there. And what about the Carthaginians here? Oh, we're just mopping them up as well. Flavius should be alright to take Palma. The army even fled back. Alright, let's get that siege equipment built. Okay, let's end the turn and continue. Oh my god! I'm getting sick of this. Towards the end of an episode, we keep on getting war decked. Oh my god, Pontus has declared war upon us. It's actually kind of absurd. I hate fighting defensive wars. I like to be somewhat prepared. I like to fight aggressive wars, not defensive. Do they want peace? Just for now, because we have to send some armies probably to go deal with Pontus. Look, they could send an invasion army to Rhodes. Oh, but I guess they probably don't like what we did to the Greeks. Well, looks like the first Mithridatic War is going to kick off. Gaius can go north, because we probably want to... I want to prepare war against the Gauls, but we'll have to see how we go. I don't know. Let me know in the comments where you'd like me to expand and conquer. A united Asia Minor, and we'll say Mithridates, why not? It should be a good one. Okay, I'm sick of the Carthaginians. Let's get rid of them once and for all. Flavius Scipio hopefully can end the line of Carthage. And he's gone and done it. Let's continue to enslave. Carthage is no more. Every true Roman will rejoice to see the overthrown of these... yeah, will rejoice to see the overthrow of these people. Our followers have done well. Carthage has been destroyed. A couple of factions being destroyed in today's video. The Julii are pushing to Narbo after taking Massalia from Britannia. And the Brutii have come back. I was kind of fearing that the Brutii and Julii weren't going to have very good games in this series, but they've started to conquer quite well. We'll get rid of Gyrus the Cunning as well of Macedon. And no, so they threw back the Thracians at Bylazora. Maybe the Brutii might be able to fare there as well. So we've taken Larissa. We've allowed the Brutii to take Thessalonica. Yeah, it's just because we've been so preoccupied with Egyptians, Numidians, and Carthaginians attacking us. We haven't had really time to focus on Macedon. But anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here today. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more videos on the channel. I'm going to play the outro now. Unfortunately, guys, it is time to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already with the bell notification on. Let me know in the comment section down below feedback and suggestions for the video, and feel free to leave a dislike. If you want to support the channel and follow me on my social media links, they are all linked in the description below. We've got the series playlist that you can access. You can also have a look at my gaming and recording equipment. If you want to get yourself some cheap games, check out the links. You can support me on Patreon if you want. Channel members are available. Use creator code SimpzyTotalWar on the Epic Games Store checkout to flick me a couple of bucks. We've got Twitter, Discord, merchandise, Facebook, Steam group, Instagram, Twitch, and Google Plus links all in the description below as well. But above all, guys, make sure to take care of yourselves. Have a fantastic rest of your day. My name has been Simpzy. Much love from Australia. Goodbye.